instantaneously combusted. Yet, when it was a Muslim boy who was killed, President Biden called the family. He was talked about in an Oval Office speech. The White House then started a counter-Islamophobia campaign. And the headlines looked a lot different. Again, we'll reference NBC and the New York Times. NBC, 6-year-old Palestinian boy is killed in anti-Muslim attack in Illinois. New York Times, 6-year-old boy fatally stabbed in anti-Muslim attack, authorities say. With us now, Batya Ungar-Sargon, opinion editor at Newsweek, Colby Hall, founding editor and Mediaite, NewsNation contributor. Colby, I'm going to start with you because I know you're going to argue with me on this. Look, I get that there are differences, but the fact of the matter remains the reporting on this and the level of outrage and the level of concern is vastly, vastly different.
Vastly different from what we saw with a 6-year-old Muslim boy in Chicago. Those are two very different stories.
And vastly different if what we would have seen during BLM if somebody had been killed during one of those protests. And vastly different than what we saw at Charlottesville.
I think journalists handled this very well for a variety of reasons. One, the vast majority of reports that I saw said that he was killed after a confrontation with a Palestinian protester, which is precise. Murder, I know there was a lot of people on the right who were complaining that it wasn't said that he was murdered. Murder isn't really a legal term. He was killed during a conflict. The medical examiner said that he died from what looked like a fall, blunt trauma to the head from a fall. I think the journalists and everyone that's talking about this needs to be super duper responsible, because if they get something wrong, it's a real flashpoint. We saw what happened with the way the media messed up the reporting of the bombing of the hospital in Gaza, sparked tons of outrage, and it's not a both sides false equivalency. I'm saying that they reported this correctly, because if they said that he was murdered, your point's made.
Your point's made. Batya, I take Colby at his point. He's an observer. He's not responsible for everything the media does. That said, have you ever noticed how it's amazing how responsible all the reporting needs to be when it involves anything about anti-Semitism, but how freewheeling the reporting is when it's anything else?
Right. I mean, I think you just nailed it, Leland. And the point is not that the media got it wrong here. It's that they are exercising journalistic caution in the correct way because they have a bias against seeing Jews as victims, and thus they are able to, hold back on their enthusiasm for calling out white bad people and people of color victims, right? I mean, that is the point here, which is that there's a deeply, deeply problematic double standard where white people are treated always as the oppressors, always as the criminals, and people of color are always victims. And when you have a white person or a Jewish person who gets the white treatment who is a victim, suddenly they become really good journalists because it messes with their worldview. Whereas when the person
messes with the narrative.
Yeah, they are very, very irresponsible, and they use hyperbolic language everywhere from the New York Times all the way down.
Yeah,
it's absurd. That's absurd. It's absurd. The top-rated and most powerful and influential media outlet is Fox News, and does exactly the opposite of what you just stated. The idea that media is biased against Jews is a false narrative. Yes, the way that the progressives, say MSNBC and many on CNN, covered the attack on October 7th, you called them out correctly because they did a lot of harm. This is not that. This is an instance. And to falsely equate the reporting on this tragedy, this horrible story that involved like 6 people, to a larger pattern, I frankly find sort of offensive. I think it's absurd.
No, Colby, let me get you to you made your point, and I understand. I mean, and look, it's hard to criticize responsible reporting. And I think Batya made an interesting point. But Washington Post today, in Israeli-Palestine battle to sway Congress, only one side wins. Support for Israel is a uniquely bipartisan sentiment on Capitol Hill, a reflection of a powerful lobby and an imbalance of exposure to Palestinians, which to me got dangerously close to Ilhan Omar's comment one time that it's all about the Benjamins. And I can't let this go, that this keeps going back to what Batya said, that when it comes to issues of hate towards Jews, when it comes to issues of of protests in America's streets. We were required in 2020 to have such moral clarity by all journalists. You had to have moral clarity about things. And now moral opaqueness is celebrated, and moral both sidesness and responsible journalism is the buzzwords. Why the huge shift?
Well, I think the example that you just pointed out was a good report that showed there was bipartisan support of Israel within Congress, which is objectively true and which is a good thing. I don't want to get into the situation where, like, defending Hamas or saying that it's complicated, because I've also been super duper critical, and you do make some salient points. I just think that, like, to jump on everything, we have a lot of confirmation bias. So when we see this report, and a lot of people on the right were angry that this guy wasn't murdered, that wasn't reported as being murder. Well, I think it's responsible for everyone on both sides to take assessment of the facts. And I don't think that there is a rush to judgment to immediately blame the Jews. I think anti-Semitism is getting called out pretty well. Of course, we can cherry pick a lot of examples where there are failures. Okay. There is a long list, and I won't disagree.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.